morning in the 4th chapter of John. The Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" And the woman said, "You're a Jew. I'm a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him. He would have given you living water. And she said, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get living water? Are you greater than Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did his sons and his flocks and his herds? Everyone who drinks this water will thirst again. Whoever drinks the water I give him will never thirst. The water I give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life." And the woman said, "Give me this water so that I will not thirst again and have to keep coming here to draw water." "Go, call your husband and come back." "I have no husband." "You're right when you say you have no husband. The fact is you have had 5. And the man you now have is not your husband. What you have said is quite true." And she said, "I can see that you are a prophet. Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, but the Jews claim that the place where we must worship is in Jerusalem." And Jesus said, "Believe me, the time is coming when you will worship the Father, neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You Samaritans worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, for salvation is from the Jews. Yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks. God is spirit, and his worshippers must worship in spirit and truth." And the woman said, "I know that the Messiah is coming, and when he comes, he will explain everything to us. I who speak am he." The word from the Lord in the house of the Lord. Good news. Lake Mead rose 10 feet. We won't have a water shortage here until 2021. You notice it didn't say we won't have a water shortage here. It just said we can take a deep breath for another year or so. Good news because Lake Mead rose. Good news because there's water. Good news. This world is about water. And we build places in the desert like where we live, and we assume that God will take care of us. But we build a lot of things in the desert that is our lives. And hope, just hope that God will water our desert and make our lives really fulfilled. Moses was tired of the murmuring. You know, we've talked about murmuring before, which is a lot worse than muttering. Murmuring is bad news. And they murmured against God, and they murmured against Moses because they were going to die of thirst out in the middle of the desert. And God said to Moses, "Just take them to this rock. I will stand before you at the rock, and when you strike the rock with your staff, the same one that spread the Red Sea, water will come forth." And Moses, tired of the muttering, tired. What this thing is doing. They're not hooked up good, I guess. There, I don't know. I'll stand perfectly. That'll be the day. But Moses was a little tired of the muttering and God telling him what to do. And so he walked up to that rock and he hit it a shot with his staff in anger. And the water spewed forth because God had promised there would be water. But that was the act. That was the single disobedient thing that Moses did in his life that kept him from the promised land. God had asked him to do something as a servant, and he had done it as an enemy. He asked him to bring forth water for the Jews so they wouldn't die in the desert, and he hit the rock in anger, not in worship. not in praise, but in anger. And God fulfilled his promise. But Moses' anger separated him from the fulfillment of that promise. So remember, when you're just mad enough to hit something, open your hand and realize you can hurt yourself doing that. And you don't need to. Just open your hands and look at them, and there's 10 fingers there to do things for people. There's 10 fingers there to serve people. There's 2 hands there to carry water to the thirsty. And the woman at the well, when Jesus spoke to her, had to surprise her because she went to the well at noon. Now, if you had to draw water here in August, would you go to the well early in the morning or at high noon? But she went at high noon because the other women wouldn't let her get to the well in the morning because she was one of them. I mean, Jesus said you've had 5 husbands and you're living with somebody else now. What kind of woman are you? But her question was, how do you know? How did he know all that about her? And then when he said, I'll give you water so you'll never thirst again. No, he wasn't going to keep her throat from becoming parched, wasn't going to keep her from becoming dehydrated, but he was going to give her enough faith, enough reason to have faith, enough power in the faith that she could get so that she would never thirst after those temptations of the world. He loved his metaphors. He loved his parables. And he spoke in parables and metaphors all the time and challenged his disciples and now still challenges us to try to figure out what it is he's talking about. And if we live here where water is a precious commodity. Right now, Yakima, water is not such a precious commodity because it's about knee-deep in the street. And out east where the snow is there and there's going to be backyard flooding as it all melts, water is not a precious commodity. And that kind of water isn't what Christ was talking to the woman about. That kind of water is not even what the Jews in the desert were murmuring about. They wanted to be reassured that God was their God. They wanted to be made whole in their belief in God. And they just couldn't bring themselves to totally, absolutely trust the one who said, I am. And now, the woman at the well is faced with a Jewish man who wouldn't talk to a Jewish or a Canaanite man, let alone her, but he spoke to her. And he didn't put her down. He didn't make disparaging remarks. He simply said, if you knew, you'd never thirst again. If we know, we need never thirst again. If we are sure of our faith in our God, we don't have to be scared of tomorrow. That's the kind of water that we want. Yeah, I'm glad Lake Mead's up 10 feet. I'm glad that Las Vegas doesn't have to go into water rationing this summer. I'm glad for all of that. And maybe there will even be a drop or two in the International Canal from Mexico. But God will take care of us. Oh, he may not break the drought at this moment that we think he ought to. He may not even... I can tell you, I got to go back and tell you. We moved into a house in Michigan. And this was a new experience for me because the well was in the basement of the house. And it went dry before we could, in the week before we could move in. And they said, that's no problem, that's no problem. And they sent a guy out who took a sledge and he drove to Sand Point 6 more feet and we had water. That's where the water table was in that You see, it's there. The water for the world is there. We live on the Colorado River aquifer where we are, and they can drill wells here and produce a lot of water. But that's not the water that the woman at the well was interested in. It's not the water that Christ offered to her at the well. He said, believe in me. Completely commit yourself to believing in me. Let go of your control. I don't know that I want to. I kind of like being in control. But Jesus said, you'll never have peace. You'll never have all the water you need. You'll never have the water of faith until you can turn loose and let go. And then I will give you power. That's the wonder of it. Once we surrender, we're now suddenly free. No, we don't become enslaved by our belief. We're set free by our belief. We're not set out in the desert island to perish because we separate ourselves from society, but rather He gives us the strength and the power to endure in society and even to change society. Moses struck the rock in anger because Moses, the great leader, was human. We lash out in anger at our God, and He doesn't say, that will prevent you from ever being with me. For He sent Christ to mediate. He sent Christ to ameliorate. He sent Christ to forgive. So when we lash out in anger, we're already forgiven. We're not liked, but we are forgiven. For He's already provided to each of us the water that lives in our hearts, the water that lives in our very being. And water is a signal of life. So just know that woman at the well who didn't know God well surrendered herself that quickly. I don't know about you. It took me a lot longer than one conversation. As a matter of fact, I keep working on it because I might not be quite there yet. But He's waiting for me to bathe in His water, to drink of the eternal water, to never thirst again, because He's given me the water of love, the water of life, the water of eternal life. It's mine. Oh, you can have some, but it's mine. Amen. I got to bring my 154. Oh, hail the power of Jesus' name. Would you stand with me there?